Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show, where we talk about all things home and healing. I've been away for a couple of weeks because I've been away for a couple of weeks. I was in a wedding. I haven't been to a wedding in I can't even tell you how long. And I was a bridesmaid and I had to wear purple. It actually worked out pretty cool, but definitely out of my comfort zone. So, I came home, my computer's broken. So hopefully this weekend my IT guy's gonna come over and fix it. Yay. So pardon the background and the lighting and all that stuff. But today we have an exciting show. So I have a dear friend, her name is Lisa House, and she does some really wonderful healing. And she's just overall a wonderful person. You can't help but love her. So anyway, without further ado, I want to welcome Lisa House to the show.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Jeanette. I appreciate that.
So we've known each other. Has it been 5 years or has it almost been 10 years? I know it was during COVID. I know we knew each other during COVID.
Yeah.
But was it before then?
I think it was right before then.
Okay. Yeah,
so
time goes by fast.
Almost 10 years. My goodness. Wow, it
I
feels like just
know.
yesterday. I think the older you get, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. The older you get, the faster time goes. And I actually had a dream the other night that it was November. And I woke up like, where did the year go? And then I realized I'd had a dream, and it was such a lucid dream that I actually thought it was November. And yeah, I thought I'd lost like half a year there, but I didn't. I realized like after a couple seconds, I was like, oh, thank goodness it's not flying. And now, I mean, if I was losing time, that would not be good.
No.
That's like I think quantum leaping, right?
I think when we're young, like when you're 10, 20 years old, 1 year, that's a big chunk of your life. At 50, it's not such a big chunk. And I think that we also get complacent about time. After a while, we kind of take it for granted. And at 20, it's like, oh, there's so much I want to do. And like, you don't even know what that is, but like, you've got this whole world to create. And by the time you get to 50, you're like, oh, what have I done? And
Right.
even if you've done, I mean, there are people who've done great things, but I think we all judge ourselves harshly on what have I done? I know I've done some good in the world. Is it as much good as I wanted to do? No. Yeah. Do I still have time to do a lot of good? Yes. Do I know how to do that? I don't know. And at 20, you're still that wonderful arrogant of I can do anything I want, right? And at 50, you're like, can I?
I turned 55 last year, and so I'm almost 56, and I think I finally hit that wall of, yes, you can still do stuff. My family has a lot of longevity. It is both my parents are still alive. Most of my grandparents were alive until well in their 80s. And still functioning well. My mom's 75 and she's still going. My dad's 77, I believe, and he still works. So, I have theoretically, I could have a good 3 more decades left. That's a lot of time to do a lot of good.
Right?
Especially if we keep advancing spiritually and medically. It is feasible to expand our life even more in a healthy way, right? With this push for natural medicine and the marriage of the natural medicine with the Western medicine, you can make great strides and live a longer, healthier life. I truly believe that. And that's one of the things I'm working on.
Well, and I was talking with somebody this morning already about how emotions get stuck in our bodies.
Yes.
And that is the big killer.
It is.
That's responsible for the big C.
Mhm.
That's responsible for a lot of other illnesses. And so when we talk about how emotions get stuck in our bodies and how the fuck do we get, I'm sorry, I'm really
Hey, you know what?
how do we get them out? I should back off. This is we don't know who's
You
listening.
know, you heard me
But
last
how
night.
do we get it out? Because like that's the $60 million question, because these emotions are literally eating us up.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I've struggled with that all my life, and sometimes I kind of not laugh, but I am a healer, and there's such an emphasis now with especially like Gen Z. I don't like to like compartmentalize, but I'm going to a little bit about trauma. They have said they're like 15 to 25 years old. They're trauma. They're all trauma. That's my trauma response. I need my support water bottle. And I sometimes think, you really don't. Like, the trauma they have is nothing compared to the trauma of some of the people who came before them, or even some of the people that are living now. But I also think in response to that, there's a lot of other people like me that are saying, "Hey, we all had trauma.
Yeah.
It's how you." And sure, I guess a support water bottle is nice, but see, and
More like a support cookie for me, but
right,
okay.
right, yeah. For me, it's for me, it's support wine, support. Actually, it's more for me. Pizza, pasta, cheese. If anything like fatty or carby for me, but yeah, it's interesting to me how there's such like we didn't talk like when we were young, we didn't talk about
No,
our trauma. Like we had to be
no,
really, really close to somebody. Um, we didn't have a lot of support animals or support anything. And I do think that there's a place for them. I absolutely do. But I also think sometimes, um, when you're sometimes we take this idea of trauma a little bit too far and we create our own trauma. We create
yeah,
our own um, issues within our body and within our spirituality because we want to be like everyone else. It's almost like if you don't have trauma, you're not part of the club and you're not. And, personally, I would love to just let mine all go.
that's right.
And I think, and I think I probably have let a lot of it go. And I don't know how I started on this tangent, but, you know, I think though, in the end, I am not too old to release. And I have been releasing a lot more the last few years. And specifically, like the last year, and my mom, I love it. My mom turned 75 years this year. She turned 75 in February. And that was actually a big trigger for me. That I want to release it. I want to move forward and be healthier and be, she still looks great. She, she's still very active. She does suffer from depression, so she doesn't, she has that aspect, but for the most part, like she's, and she of course has her issues, her health issues. She's 75 years old. But I would like to do better and be better so I can make her life better because I support her. And, if I'm not healthy, then how am I going to do that? Yeah. So, but I do think there's just so much emphasis right now on, health, mental health is a big, big business right now.
Yeah,
You have all of those like online and on the phone, and everybody's a therapist, even though they're not a therapist. You have all of that. And So it's a big money business right now, and sorry, now I have I know. So yeah, I do think mental health is a big thing, and I do feel like our emotions, we do carry that, and it manifests physically. But at the same time, like, let's move to get rid of it as opposed to collect more. I love the cat.
This is my little mental health kiddo. Oh my gosh, she's so wonderful, but she's very persnickety. So I think it's great that people have more awareness, but at the same time, you can be too aware and create problems. And I think that, we're the same age, and, we didn't really focus on what was wrong with our families. I mean, everybody goes through stuff, I had a mother with polio, a special needs sister, an adopted sister. I had all kinds of weird stuff going on in my family. And as I've gotten older, I had a friend tell me one time, I can't imagine what it would be like to have a special needs sister. And I said, I can't imagine what it would be like not to.
Right? Yeah,
And it's just like, this was my normal, I was probably, this is terribly, but it's also kind of who I am. I was well into my 20s, and I'd taken a design class and decided to go to design school when I realized not everybody moved their house around as much as my mother did. But that was just, it didn't click. It was just like, that was our normal. And
mm-hmm.
and whatever quirk your family had, people who grow up in alcoholic families often become alcoholic, and so this, it's genetic. Is it genetic, or is it how they were raised? If they were raised watching their parents say, oh, I'm having a difficult day, I must drown it in alcohol, is it the gene, or is that what we're taught? I was taught, when you have a bad day, go get a cookie. Okay, well, is overeating genetic in my family, or is that how I was taught to deal with stress?
Mm-hmm.
And so we all have our normal until we get to an age where we're like, this isn't so normal. And this is not a normal I wish to continue. I don't wish to go to food every time. I did last night. It was kind of a weird day, and I was like, I want pizza. I'm going to get pizza tonight. But I was good. I got a salad as well. So I
I
did
had
get
pizza
some
too.
veggies. And you know what? It's okay to do it once in a while, but like, it's about finding good ways to cope with stress.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean you can never enjoy a pizza or a cookie or a drink of wine or whatever, but we have to do it with consciousness and say, okay, am I doing this because of stress? Is there another way of dealing with stress?
Mm-hmm.
And 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 that's really what it comes down to. So
Yeah.
let's talk about, like, okay, so we've got all these things, like for me, one of the things that comes up whenever I see a new healer is my father died when I was a year old. And they always go like, I don't even have to tell them. They just latch onto that. And I'm like, are you kidding? Am I not over this freaking yet? I mean, my body remembers him, but I don't remember him. I
Right.
remember the stories my mother told me about him.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in my being certainly remembers him, but I don't. Like, all I have is the memories that have been given to me. And it's like, grief is such a wild thing, and it's something everybody goes through at some point in their life. Nobody gets out without that, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's an animal, a parent, a friend, a sibling, a mentor. There's somebody it's going to happen. It's inevitable. um so do you have any tips on processing grief?
Yeah, I mean, My biggest tip, especially if it's from childhood, is doing inner child work. And what that entails is embracing your inner child. It's actually going into a visualization. I do inner child work with myself. When I'm doing it frequently, I am definitely feeling better and more confident and um, just good in general. But it's creating that visualization where you go and you visualize yourself as that child or even an infant, even if you were in infancy, and you essentially mother or father um, that child in place of the mother or father you have. I know some people prefer to imagine that it's like Mother Mary or Mother Earth or something like that instead of themselves, but and that works great too, whatever is most comfortable. I tend to like to give myself that love, mother that baby me or that child me myself. And I think there's like a couple of keys to doing this. One is making sure you tell that little you, I love you. Another component is touch. You know, imagine taking yourself in your arms or whatever that figure is, and holding and hugging. Touch is very, very important. And then the third part of that is do play. You know, when I was a child, I loved to go on to the playground. I loved the merry-go-round and the swings. And so when I am doing inner child work, a lot of times I imagine taking my little self to the park, walking there, getting on the merry-go, you know, putting myself on the merry-go-round or watching myself climb out, twirling it or pushing myself on the swings, and feeling into that joy and that laughter, because there are those times. Obviously, if it's an infant, there's not a whole lot of play. That's where you really focus on the holding and the loving, and you know, you tell yourself all kinds of good wonderful things like you're beautiful, you're strong, you are capable, you are worthy, right? How many of us don't believe we're worthy and that we don't deserve? So if you're just saying those things over and over, it helps, it resonates within you as well, because you're getting that from yourself. So that would honestly be my top tip for grief. If it's something that happened in your adulthood, you can actually still do that. You can still go back um to yourself 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a year ago, and give yourself that love. And you know what? It's also important to know it's okay to grieve. It is okay to grieve, but it is also okay to let the grief go. You still have your memories, you still have the love, but whoever you're grieving, they don't want you to sit in a place that is unhappy and unhealthy. If they were still here, I am sure they would tell you, I would like you to be happy. I want you to be happy. I want you to live life to the fullest. I don't want you to be stuck.
And sometimes we can keep them stuck here.
Yeah.
I have a friend who lost a child. It was very ugly what happened. Child was less than a year old, and she's keeping that spirit here because she's got a big shrine in her house. It's been 30 years, and it's like it still happened yesterday for her. And so that level of grief, you know, I have another friend who her husband died maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and You walk in her house and you can still feel him there. She will not let his spirit go. And that level of grief keeps them here.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to them either.
No, it's not. Definitely. They want to be like, even if they feel like they're okay here, that spirit is like, if they were in the light, if they were seeing the light, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And they can do more good there.
Right?
And they're still there. I mean, just in a
Oh, yeah.
different way, in a way that's more removed.
The way I like to describe it is when a child is in the womb, a parent will talk to the mother will talk to it. She
Mm-hmm.
feels that she'll feel it respond to music, to her voice, and it's like you can't talk to a baby in the womb the same way you and I are talking.
Right.
We don't know exactly what does it hear like it's coming through underwater. We don't know what, but there's every pregnant mother will tell you that they can communicate with that child. And
Absolutely.
it's just different than how you and I communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And the next world is very similar. And how we communicate, we just have to listen differently. I've had my mom come to me several times and I'm not holding on to her or nothing, but she every now and then she'll just come in, and it's really wonderful to have a visit from her.
Absolutely.
And it, she just comes in to give me support, or when my dad was dying, like, Mama, I need you now.
Yeah.
Can't deal with this. How did you deal with this?
Yeah.
and and she'd come in and she'd kind of at least tell me, yeah, you're doing everything you can do.
Right. And probably more comforting than if you were still holding on to her from a place of grief.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we can't hold on to them. And this lady, like, she's just holding on to this child, and it was terrible, but I had a recent talk with her, and I said, if he had lived, he would be living his own life now. He would be graduated, he would have family, he might have kids of his own. I said he would not be living with you, and he would be graduated, and you need to let him graduate. Mm.
That's a very excellent way, right, to put it, because yeah, at some point I mean, I'm not a parent, but at some point your parents have to let you go,
Yeah.
so that you can live your own life. And that's actually an amazing analogy, because I've never thought about it that way. But yeah, we even in life, we have stages where we are dependent on our parents, and then we become less dependent, and then at one point we are not dependent at all, and then a lot of times it rolls back around and they're dependent on us, if the cycle goes through.
Yeah. I was fortunate. I didn't have that part, but
It's not so
uh,
bad. I wouldn't
uh,
trade it.
yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I tell people with kids, and granted, I didn't have the pleasure of raising one myself, but I've had lots of kids around me, and each age has its own special joy, and you'll talk to mothers and like, oh, I can't pick them up anymore. Oh, I can't breastfeed anymore. Oh, I can't, the list, I can't, there is a great sadness when you can't pick them up anymore. I did
Yeah,
it with my niece and nephew. There is a great sadness when like, with each year, with each stage of growth, there is a death of an experience with that child you're not going to have again, but something else new comes in.
absolutely.
And I think with your situation and taking care of your mom, it's like your relationship with her has changed most definitely. And and there's some joy in that. Like it's the same thing as like each year has there's a part that's not going to be again, but there's a part, as we get older, that's different. Like
Yeah.
when that 0 to 10, there's a lot of yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 0 to 15, I don't know, but that first decade especially, there's a lot of, oh, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And each age has its wonder, and we
Right.
need to embrace that for ourselves and for those around us.
Yeah, I know somebody who they held on to their child like it was a baby for a far longer. I mean, I think she was still breastfeeding when he was 4 years old, and
Ouch.
that wasn't all. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't like that was, and it was like at nighttime. It wasn't like all his meals, but it was nighttime, and um, the the growth has been stunted
Yeah.
in a few ways. I mean, there's other things that she's done. That is
Oh
just
yeah.
one example of holding on to that babyhood. But the growth was stunted with that child emotionally. You can see it. I've met him not very often, but I've met him a couple of times, and um, so if she doesn't learn how to let go of what he was and let him become what he's supposed to be, that's going to be an ongoing struggle. And he could very well have issues
Yeah.
later on in life when he's supposed to be an adult. You know, that's part of it, right? You have to, appreciate what you had, but also let them grow.
Yeah.
And you have
My
to let
mom,
an adult, you have to let people grow.
exactly. My mom babysat a kid when I was little, and I think it was her youngest kid. And his security blanket was her bra. Now, the last thing I would want is my bra being paraded all over town. But and like we'd go to get him. Oh, don't forget the bra. Don't forget the bra. And I'm like, okay. And the kid was, he was getting to be 6, 7 years old, and so at our house, the bra would sit in the corner and like, but he wasn't. It wasn't constantly being foisted on him. And mom would literally, don't forget it. And I'm like, and I was just a kid. I was 8 years old, and I'm like, why would you
Absolutely.
want your bra being paraded around town like that? And it wasn't even like a pretty bra. It was just like, I just was like,
Oh
my
gosh.
little 8-year-old brain just went, why would you do that? And
Oh.
clearly, I mean, it was her youngest child. So clearly there's, she was trying to keep him a baby. Now, I don't know what happened to him. We'd only babysat him for a few years, but at my mother's house, it was like, bra went in the corner. He didn't pick it up. He didn't touch it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long, she was sitting with him, and like, what kind of, maybe the kid got to a certain age and like, I don't want to deal with boobs. There
Right.
are guys who don't like boobs.
I mean,
And
let's
maybe
be
that did, or maybe it had the other thing. He just was like, oh my gosh, boobs, boobs, boobs. Who knows? Pixie, please, come on. Oh, you're not Pixie. You're Dickin. You're Dickin. I'm sorry. You need to move too. You guys don't often get to see Dickin. That was Dickin. So
sorry,
anyway,
I just realized phone
hey
was up.
Mark.
With the animals and everything. I was just enjoying the conversation and all along those lines, and I was actually thinking even about my own life and everything like that, because I know that I'm fortunate to have, as you know, Jeanette, both parents, and both parents very active and everything like that. But my grandfather on my dad's side actually died when I was very young, so I have very little memories
Yeah.
except for like what you were saying, what people told me he was like, and all along those lines. Because can't even remember. I'd have to ask my dad whether, because I know dad came back for his service because dad was in the Air Force, but whether we came back, I don't think so, and everything like that. But definitely, I have very little memory of him because I was an infant at the time of his passing, and all along those lines. So definitely no memories except for, as you were
Come
just
on.
saying,
Come
what
on.
people had told me about him and the kind of like reflections, because he apparently was a noted scientist here in the Durham, North Carolina area. As a matter of fact, the biology building at NCCU is named after him, which is one of our HBCUs, and all along those lines. And then just really
Wow.
quickly, I was going to tease you, and really quickly, Jeanette, because we must have had a telepathic message yesterday, because as you were talking about what you had for dinner, it was pizza and salad, and that's what I had for dinner yesterday as well. So
Same.
it was like this telepathic message that we had, that it was a pizza and salad day, because I went to Enzo's, which is our local pizza place, and usually I get the chicken wings because they have great chicken wings and the salad. But when I went in there, I was like, today I feel like pizza. So for some reason, it was a telepathic Thursday pizza day.
Well, you probably ate before me, but I had there's this amazing place near me. Oh my god, it's so good. They do cornmeal crust pizza, which is just out of this world. Dickin, you're not helping. Stop. He keeps moving the screen. Oh goodness. Animals and kids, right?
Yep.
And so then they put corn and caramelized onions on it. It is out of this world. It's so good.
It sounds like it, 'cause I think I just had an all meat pizza, and I did because I saw the all meat pizza. They had some of the sides, and I am a sucker for olives, so I said, "Could you put some olives on that?" So they did put some black olives, not as much as I would have liked them to have done, but they did put some on there. But yeah, it was a pizza day for some odd reason. I'm not sure what the day will bring me in terms of food and everything like that, but for some reason we were having that same thought. And then I know Miss Lisa was talking about some of her weaknesses. I was going like, I know about those weaknesses, because I can have a weakness for confectionaries as well, and some of the sweets that are out there in life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had a New York style pizza, and yes, here, but it's a guy who lived in New York, and
Mm,
it's the closest thing I've ever had to New York style pizza other than in New York. And
wow.
I got the combo. No olives, though. I don't actually like black olives. I do love green olives,
Uh-huh.
but that's not an option. So I had the combo. So I got the meat and the veggies,
Cool.
and it was delicious.
Just really quickly, and I was just curious because as you came in the first time and I was listening to y'all's conversation, maybe you'll tell our listeners where you came up with the title of your company, because the title of the company actually caught my attention, because you call it The Passage to Bliss. So how did that come about?
Yeah. So last year, I wanted to rebrand from my previous name, because it just wasn't reflecting what I mean, it was more me. It wasn't reflecting my journey and what I wanted to help people with. And what I really wanted to help people with was finding their bliss, whether that's through healing, coaching. And I got together with a couple of people. I would send them names and, all of this. And it's like, throw that one out, throw that one out. That one's not catchy enough. And I wanted something that I could use for like social media, right? That you could easily find that was still unique, right? Originally I wanted to do like Journey to Bliss, but there's multiples out there for different things, whether it's food or whatever. So I wanted something that was still unique. And really, when we're shooting towards bliss, when we are looking to have more bliss within ourselves and in our world, it is like a passage, right? You go through this, and I mean, I kind of think of it almost like a cruise ship, right? You go, and you're getting that pass. You are going on a passage, you're sailing the ocean, or taking that passage across the land, whatever it happens to be. So that's how I landed on it, and it resonated with the people I was talking to. So that's where we went, and I so that's how I came up with it. It was sort of one of those where I'd outgrown the previous concept and wanted a whole new concept of how we get to this space where we are feeling better about ourselves and in a place where we are healed, and how we get there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to turn it back over to Jeanette. I've actually got to tease Jeanette about one quick thing because her cat, and I'm not sure which one this is, has definitely
This is Dickon.
doing a great job of mooning the audience several times and all along those lines. So she's been having real fun mooning the audience and all in that kind of space. But just really quickly on that line, as I bounce off here and turn you back over to Jeanette, and this is for both of you, how important do you think it is for pets to help in that healing journey? Because I know you got that cat or cats, and I heard the dogs in the background when we first came on, Lisa. So just maybe if you'll share with our audience the importance of cats in that healing journey.
Well, I don't know. My cats have been so important, and energetically, cats and dogs both are great healers. I just saw something the other day. Their frequency is so high, and when they purr or when they wag their tail, they are at the highest frequency of love, which most of us aren't. And so just being around that helps lift our vibration up. Um, I don't know why, especially during COVID, if I didn't have my animals, I mean, they kept me sane. and and there's different ways that they go about it. So cats tend to go towards the area in your space where there's negative energy, and they absorb it. Dogs, on the other hand, go to the space where there's good energy and they multiply it.
Yeah.
So they each have their own role in how they heal. And it's just the way and that's why I think that cats get lumped in with, dark magic and stuff like that. And it's not so much that they don't do anything dark, but they're not afraid to go into the dark spaces. And, years ago, I had depression really bad, and I had a friend who I hadn't talked to in years, and then all of a sudden kind of came into my world, and, I want to be your friend. I said, why? You don't want to meet my monsters. I got lots of monsters. Why do you even want to be my friend? We did a really good job of pushing him away. And he's like, I'm not afraid of your monsters, Jeanette. I've got my own, and I've been through a lot of monsters, and I'm not afraid of anybody's monsters. And cats are like that. They're not afraid of the monsters, and they are very happy to go where the monsters are and say, you don't belong here. And that's their magical power. And dogs multiply the joy. It's so they're both creating joy in their own way.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't always had dogs, but I do know that when I do have them, it's so amazing. And I mean, I think you could say every animal is a support animal in whatever capacity. Like Piggy, she's a bulldog, so she has the tiniest little tail. But when that tail is wagging, just this little stub going back and forth, like it brings me so much joy. I am like, that's like a shot of happy juice right there. Just seeing her joy. Like she's a bulldog. She doesn't smile. They don't, they're not like labs or golden retrievers where you can literally see that
right
because of her face. But that little tail goes, and it's beautiful. And I think it's a two-way street. In the morning, a lot of times as I'm having my coffee or tea or whatever, she'll like come and snuggle up with me. And like, if I'm not petting her, she paws me until I pet her. And it's a mutual healing time for both of us, I think. And when we don't get it, when we don't do that for a couple days in a row because life is happening, we both start to feel it. And so, I think pets are very, very important. And it doesn't even have to be a cat or a dog. It can be a horse,
horses are incredibly healing.
Yeah, I've been.
My sister was in something called therapeutic. Sorry.
Oh no.
My sister was in something called therapeutic My sister was in something called therapeutic equestrians when she was young, and the horses are incredibly healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's communication on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
Just on that line and everything, just really quickly, I know that I think I mentioned it to you before. There is a group here, I think it's called Bright Star or something like that here in North Carolina, but it is autism treatment, and they use horses as part
Mm-hmm.
of that treatment because it is a staple, and the staple is actually helping those people that are facing autism with their horses and everything along those lines.
Yeah.
And as I've told you before, Jeanette, I've had a lots of different pets. Don't have any pets currently at the moment, even though a friend of mine did give me some seeds, and I'm trying to grow these little garden items in a eggplant or in the egg box. And so far, it looks like the corn and the beans are trying to sprout. So we'll see if this experiment actually works or not, because they told me how to do that. But I did have some pets that were unusual. I think I mentioned that to you, Jeanette, because I had, when I lived in the country, goats, and even here in the city of Durham, a friend of mine that ironically moved to New York, which you just mentioned, Lisa, because they were in theater, they had several geckos. So they gave me the geckos that were named after Italian dishes. So I think I had fettuccine, linguine, and Alfredo. So they gave me three of their several geckos that I kept for about a year and a half, 2 years or something like that. But they were definitely therapy, because sometimes just watching them watch the TV was interesting, because sometimes they would be attracted to the TV light, and you would see them looking at the TV light while I was watching TV at the loft apartment that I was living in that particular time. So sometimes unusual pets can also be therapeutic as well.
Yeah. Love it. Love the animal.
Pets take us out of our own, and they need love. And anytime we can open ourselves up to love, and I think that was one of the bad side effects of COVID, is that many people who, we kind of got shut down to love. And there was some love that got expanded with people, but there was a lot of, we have to be alone. We have to be alone. We can't be, and I think that a lot of love got shut down. And that was a very sad side effect of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, how many people got pets during COVID? I had neighbors or some people a street over from me, they got a bunch of goldfish, and then they went back to work, and they're like, well, we're not around to take care of them anymore. And I'm like, how much time do you need to take care of goldfish? Because I've had them in my pond lots of times.
Yeah, same with dogs.
I've had them in my pond lots of times. And so anyway, I said, well, I've got a pond. I said, I'm not going to guarantee you the raccoons won't eat them, but I've got a big pond, and you're welcome to have them here if you want. So they brought them to me, and raccoons did get them, but that's kind of the cycle of life too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was raccoons or cats, but
Yeah, I used to have and this, I used to take care of dogs. That was, I had a doggy daycare and boarding service in my home. And, obviously everything shut down during COVID, but then there was a lot of people that adopted. So when everything was open back up, I was incredibly busy. But what was interesting is that a lot of the dogs that I'd had previously that were not anxious, that were good with other dogs, loved all the other dogs, loved playing, were more shut down. They had anxiety, they had separation anxiety from their family. Like their family is all they saw for, and they saw more of them than they ever had before. And then, the puppies that people got, they went into, they had, there was anxiety there too when they got left, when their people went to work or went out or went on vacation and brought them to me. So the pets feel it too. They feel that energy. And so I think, a lot of them are, finally coming out of it, but it takes a while to heal from that, right? So not just us, but you can see it in pets too.
Well, and they pick up on our energy. I mean, I see it with my cats. When I'm really stressed, they're like Pixie, who you saw first, and she gets
Mhm.
really nervous Nelly. And I have become very aware that she gets really nervous Nelly when I'm a nervous Nelly. And
Mhm.
when I start seeing her, and she'll pick herself, like if she was human, she'd be a cutter. But she
Oh,
licks herself raw. And so when I start seeing that, I'm like, okay, I need to
okay.
check myself and
Yep.
say, whoa, what am I doing? Because I don't want to be doing anything that's
Yeah.
gonna hurt her. And they do pick up on our energy. My cat that I had when I split with my ex got sick right afterwards, and I felt so guilty. And she was old, but anyway, we
Mhm.
managed to keep her going for another year, and I was so grateful for that year. And I think she hung on for that year because she knew me losing both of them at the same time would have been too much. And so, and I probably did things that I was putting water in her every other day, and I wouldn't do that to another cat. I mean, but she seemed okay otherwise. And I was like, I couldn't deal with losing her at that point.
Mhm.
And I think she hung on and gave me a year to, I really do. But I do see when I'm a nervous Nelly or when I'm upset, I see it in them. And
Yeah.
so they do absorb us too.
Absolutely.
And they are a reflection of what's going on with us as well. They're mirrors.
Yeah, absolutely. Piggy, I can tell Piggy will start licking her paws as well when she's stressed out. And usually when she's stressed out, it's because I'm stressed out or super busy and
Mhm.
I'm not giving her that calm time. Or some of the clients I had before weren't able to find people to take care of their dogs because they're high anxiety, and so I just let them come and hang out with Piggy and stuff. And Piggy picks up on their energy too. So if if there's one that's very anxious, Piggy is more anxious. And then like it becomes this whole cycle because then we're all like stressed out because it's
Right?
one dog, and it's just interesting. So once you can get that one dog calm, everybody else is calm, but they absolutely pick up on that energy.
We are getting close to the end of the show. I want to give you a few minutes to really talk about what you do and how you can help people. And if there's time, if you want to do like a little 1 minute meditation or something, or 1 minute to, if there's something short that you want to show off a little bit about how you help people, I would like you to do that.
Sure. All right. So I am a healer. I was born a healer. So a lot of work I do is not necessarily a modality. I've learned I'm a Reiki master as well as a shaman. And so I definitely incorporate that. And sometimes I focus exclusively on Reiki. Sometimes I focus exclusively on a shamanic healing. Sometimes I don't do either, and I work with color energy for people because that
Very
comes from me.
powerful.
Yeah, it's very powerful, and it just depends on what that person needs at a time. I'm also a bliss. I call it a bliss coach. I do coaching to help people be happier, whether or not that's through affirmations, through meditation, through helping them devise a plan. In my old life in corporate, I was a project manager, so I kind of have incorporated that as a skill of planning into goals, because believe it or not, we actually can create a plan to become more happy. We can absolutely do that. We can do activities. I know a lot of people call it home work. I don't. I call it home play. Like this, even if it's effort, it should still be fun. It should be enjoyable. If it is not enjoyable, it's not going to bring you joy. I mean, it's as simple as that. So, and also, I am an intuitive. I do read cards. I don't usually rely on tarot cards. I know a lot of people really love them because it gives that visual. So I do read cards, but I tend to do more of a reading just without that, or using pendulums, things like that. So I'm an intuitive as well, and can help people define what it is that they truly desire, as well as remove those blocks, whether it's through healing, meditation, coaching, removing your blocks so that you can find that bliss. Um, so that's a little bit about. I also do, as part of that, and it's something I've learned to embrace recently because I was called to do it. Spirit called me to do it. And Jeanette, you know a little bit about channeling in shamanism. They call it shape shifting. So they say you shape shift into another person, animal. It can be living, deceased, spirit guides that people channel. And then again, in shamanism, it's called shape shifting. And that's not something I ever really embraced because of fear. Like that's like something that a lot of people think is super out there, and that I know I can do, but you don't want, you're like, and I got the call to do, they were, my spirit guides are like, look, you need to start doing this now. You need to start channeling. You need to be our voice, or you need to provide the voice that other people need to hear, whether it's a loved one or, somebody they admire or whatever. So I've been embracing that more too. So that's another
Cool.
way. Yeah, it is really cool. So,
Do you want to do a little channeling for us?
sure.
Okay.
Do you want to channel a specific person, or do you want me to channel from my guides?
You can channel from your guides.
Okay. All
I don't
right.
know that I have a specific person right now that
Yeah, no worries. All right. So it does take a minute, not a minute, but
you have
I
to
do.
get there.
I need to get there. I have a couple of primary guides as well as some other
Is it
non.
easier to do somebody? I mean, we can always use. Okay.
No, my guides have been talking to me fairly frequently.
Okay.
Um, and actually, I'm already getting. I have a healing guide, and her name is Shalala, and I'm kind of feeling her wanting to come in.
Okay. It's all about listening. It's a whole different way of listening, and you have to be in a very clear spot to listen. So we're going to give her a couple minutes to get there. But I find personally those, if you're not used to doing this, but you want to talk to those people that have passed on or looking for answers, and that time right between awake and sleep are really important, either waking up or going to bed. And it's a different brainwave, and it's easier to connect. Another time that is very helpful for me is in the shower or driving, and those are both kind of semi-hypnotic states. And so we're more aware of what's there. We can allow the presence and to listen better in those states. So if you're trying to, like I talk to my mom, but if you're looking for advice from somebody and you really kind of want to connect with them, that's what I would tell you to do.
Hello, lovelies. It
Hello.
is. It is so beautiful here, and it is so beautiful where you are. And I just want all of you to know that there is so much good in the world right now, even though it feels like there isn't. There is so much good. And I would encourage you to seek that out. There are people who are so positive and really want to make things better. And yes, light workers, healers are all coming together, but you don't have to be one. All you have to be is good-hearted. If you are good-hearted, if you have the intention of a better world, you, my friend, my lovely, can find your spot. You can find your people. All you have to do is look. They're everywhere. They're in a smile. They're in a laugh. And the more you embrace those who you want to be like, the more you embrace the people who see the good and feel the good and want to be the good, the better you will be. The more good you will feel, the more good you will have, the more good you will be. I know this is a rough time, we know, but sometimes in order to grow, we need to hit that lower place. We need to struggle. We need to see what struggle looks like in order to really feel that it's time to move out of where we were and move to that new normal, that new better life that we all strive to have. You are not meant on earth to have no struggles. You are not meant on earth in a human form to be worry-free. What you are meant is to go through those things and make the decision to be better because of them. Because you cannot truly, in a human form, you cannot truly appreciate the good things unless you've had a little bit of bad. And I know that's hard to hear for some of you, but it is the way it is. You're meant to grow. This is why we go into human form, so that we can grow and move forward and become bigger and brighter and better. It is an experience, and I want you to embrace the experience. And when you look back in a year or 5 years, I want you to see where you are now in that 1 year, in that 5 years, and be able to say, I am happier, I feel good, and the world is a better place. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for shining your light. We appreciate you. We are here for you. We are cheering you on every step of the way. Much love, much blessings.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
I don't always remember, so hopefully
well, you got the recording. You can go back and listen. But
exactly.
It was all very inspiring.
Thank you. Yes. So that was Shalala. She is my. It took me a while to figure out her name because I was like, oh, well, but she is. She comes to me as very ethereal with her flowing blue, light blue wardrobe and her long blonde hair. And she's very translucent, not translucent, but very pale, translucent in a beautiful way. But she is my healing guy. She's like the one that has been coming to me since, honestly, as far back as I can remember, to help me heal and to provide that healing comfort.
Very, very cool. So how do we reach out to you if we want to talk to you?
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways. I am on Facebook, and my name is it says Lisa Valentine on here. That's the name I go by, but it's Lisa House. You can always reach me on Facebook. I also have the Facebook page Passage to Bliss, and then you can email me at lisavalentine.healing@gmail.com. I don't have a website yet. That's something I'm working on, but I didn't want to just jump in and create something. So we're thinking about it and doing it. I'm on TikTok as well under Passage to Bliss. I think it's Passage
awesome.
to Bliss.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it. And I think we learned a lot.
Great. Yeah, this was great. This was my very first podcast. So I was super excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're so welcome. And now that we've got a head full of mental good health and energy, we're going to get some body good health and energy with some awesome, awesome spices. Are you ready? Are you ready, Mark? Maybe not.
No, we're
There he
ready.
is.
We'll get ready to get Kendu spices and get y'all on out of here. So yes, always ready for some Kendu spices. So that's what
Vicken
we'll.
wants some.
I think so. So it's time for Kendu spice.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Kendu Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Kendu Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Kendu Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Kendu Spice a try.